Can you slow travel the world without losing your family? The short answer is yes. You can travel the world without compromising meaningful relationships with your family. And I will tell you how in this video. This responds to a message I received from Bryce, a subscriber. Hi Dan, thanks for the video. Here are a few questions, comments that keeps bouncing around in my head with regards to being a full-time nomadic life. How did you bring your family around to the idea about you being around a whole lot less? That it wasn't because you didn't love them and enjoy their company, but it was your desire to see the world. As we all get older, do you feel an obligation to be closer to your parents or loved ones to care for them? Is that part of the eventual plan, or are you fortunate to have siblings to help you while you travel? I have fear of missing out on both sides, Bryce writes. Little nieces experiencing new things all the time. Mom is getting older, etc. Versus there's a huge world out there and we only have so much time to experience it. And finally, have you ever considered van life in the US or another country for a change of pace? Thanks, Bryce, at his webpage, antigroundhogday.com. He put a link to his page, webpage, a blog I thought was good. Okay, in this internet-connected world, you can slow travel the world without losing your family. We can be closer to someone across the world from us, sometimes more than someone sleeping under the same roof as us. Let me explain. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. We teach people how to retire cheap internationally for less than home and how to slow travel the world for months and months for really cheap. But today I'll teach you how you can slow travel the world without losing your family and friends. Bryce watched my video from Friday, link provided, $750 per month world tour experience, and he responded with the above question. Bryce's message, his Groundhog link webpage, and my written response have links provided. Just click more information below this video to get our webpage where all these links that I'm about to describe to you are provided. Before answering these questions, I want to point out that traveling the world from a foreign base was my initial dream. Here are the paragraphs and videos from that day, link provided. Here's my quote from my own webpage. This is when I had a new idea. Instead of retiring in the USA and traveling 3 months of the year, why not retire in a cheap paradise location? That would allow me to save money for 9 months and travel to expensive places like the US, Japan, and Europe the other 3 months of the year. I should retire internationally and travel from a foreign base. After traveling the world for over a decade, I realized that I could retire early on about $1,500 per month in several foreign countries and even lower in many other countries. I could have a better life in many places for about half of what it would require to retire in the USA. That meant that I could retire early in cheap foreign paradise or slow travel through multiple cheap foreign paradises locations for 9 months of the year. That meant I would have enough money saved in 9 months that would allow me to visit more expensive places the other 3 months of the year. You can watch that video for more information about that, link provided. But let's see how that concept helps me answer Bryce's questions. Okay, Bryce has 4 questions I'll break that down into. Can you slow travel the world without losing your family? I'll bring that out as I answer these questions. Question 1, if I go full-time nomadic life, how will I keep meaningful relationships with the people I love back home? Okay, answer 1, group Zoom calls. They're free. You could integrate your family into your full-time nomadic life. I will use myself as an example. My sisters and I have a group call every other Sunday or so with my mother. One sister lives in the UK, 2 other sisters live near my mother in the US, and Zoom calls let you see everyone present in each residence. It could be someone in the background waving. You can wave, sing, tell jokes, update each other, or just be plain goofy. Personal calls, free Skype, WhatsApp. In addition to group calls, You can call individuals and stay in touch. Tell them you love them. Tell them what you're up to. Annual visits. At least once a year, I fly back to visit my mother for a few weeks. If it wasn't for the coronavirus, I'd be flying back to the USA next week to spend a few weeks at my mom's house. 2 of my sisters live nearby my mom, so I get to see them also when I visit. My sister in Scotland visits my mom often while I'm there, so I get to see her too, or I catch her as I fly back through Europe somewhere in Scotland. Proximate foreign base. If you're a full-time nomad like me, you may not want a foreign base. But if you are like most people, you'll want to spend at least 3 to 6 months of the year in one place. To save expenses, flying back to see family in the US or Europe or Canada or wherever, you should pick a cheap foreign base that's close in proximity to your family. For example, if your family is in eastern US or Canada, you could set up a base in Merida, Campeche, Tulum, or in Coimbra, Portugal or Porto. If you're in the western US or Canada, you could set up your base in Puerto Vallarta, Guanajuato, Querétaro, links provided. This proximity would allow you to fly home in an emergency for much cheaper. The proximity will allow your family to come see you in cool paradise locations that they might never have seen had you not stayed there. Proof of love. Your family will feel loved if you show them consistency with your communications. For example, my little sister in Scotland and my mother lives in California. If you ask my mother, I'll bet she talks as much or more with my little sister than she does with me or my other 2 sisters, even though one of my sisters is only a few miles away. If you stay that connected, your family will feel the same way too. They'll feel connected. Plus, there's a cool factor. Once you're living internationally, your family may also attach a cool factor to your identity. I remember when my sister moved to London about 20 years ago. That was before I started living internationally. The first thing my mother always talked about whenever I saw her was where my sister had visited last. She flew to Rome for $99 round trip last weekend. I would hear whatever my sister was up to. That coolness will more than make up for your physical absence if you remain present communicating with people on voice and video calls. Okay, question number 2. Do you feel obligated to be closer to aging parents, or do you have family that can stay and take care of them? Okay, answer number 2. If it gets to the point where my mother can't take care of herself, that will become an issue. Luckily, she has long-term care insurance that will pay for much of her living expenses, but you never know if she will want to move into a place like that when the time comes. Although it's her idea, you never know when people get old. If that day arrives, I would talk over with my mother and my 3 sisters, and we would figure that out. For example, if I needed to be in the USA 3 months of the year to share my mother watch time with responsibility with my 3 sisters, then that's what I would do. That would just be part of my travel plan. Luckily, she's still mobile and lives in her own home with the same best friend and roommate she's had for 35 years. She's like a 4th sister for us, her best friend. My mother likes her privacy and life and is happy with 2 weeks per year that I visit her in person and the electronic contacts that we have for the rest of the year, one day at a time. Okay, question number 3. Bryce says, I have a fear of missing out on whether I stay and miss the world or whether I go and miss the daily in-person contact with my family. Okay, answer number 3. I suggest you start with a trial run. Do a 3 to 6 month test trip. Stay in contact on Skype, Zoom, and Facebook. Continue to let them know they matter. Share the world with them in photos and in conversations, not only in a group, but also to individuals. You can even set up a periodic calls with each of them on Google that will remind you. You may find that the excitement of having someone that they love out in the world and seeing the world through your eyes is just as fulfilling to both you and them as having you sitting on the couch next to them. The world is changing fast. Your nieces and nephews will probably leave town when they are employment age anyway. By teaching everyone about the world, you may end up like my family. We're spread all over the world, but closer than most families that live in the same town. But you will have to be the one to make the effort. After a test run, when you get back, people just may say, "Where are you going next?" There might be no complaints at all. Connections are no longer limited by physical proximity. If nothing else, that is what coronavirus has taught all of us. We can be closer to someone across the world than someone sleeping in the bedroom next to us. Okay, question 4. Have you considered van life in this or another country? Answer: yes, I have thought about that. I figured I would live outside the US and explore the world until my 80s or so. Then I would move back to the US and travel around the country, seeing all the national parks. Not sure if it would be a van or a third wheel trailer or what. I like to cook, so it would need a kitchen, gas stove, and refrigerator. It would definitely not be one of those fancy executive homes on wheels. They're terrible on gas and they're too bulky for my taste. It would just be the basics. I think there might be a Harley involved too, if I have the upper body strength. I've been riding street bikes since I was a teen. I rode a chopper to high school. That picture is of me. So the answer is yes, you can slow travel the world without losing your family and friends. Thanks for watching our video. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you feel we provide enough value for you to want to help us make our business grow. Feel free to come to Vagabond Buddha and click the free ebook link at the top, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 years. While there, feel free to browse through our Retire Cheap reports all over the world. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. Have an amazing day.